We have several people joining, so welcome. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, good morning, everybody. Sheila Boynton here from the Million Mentors team. Welcome. We're going to wait a few minutes and let people join. Thank you for joining us this morning. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday and everybody is staying safe during this unusual time, getting back to real life, which I know we're all happy about. So, good morning. Okay, looks like we have a great crowd on. Just happy to have everybody here today. Again, just thrilled to be able to talk a little bit about Million Women Mentors and our newest effort here in Louisiana. Today, we are thrilled to be joined, and you'll hear from her in a minute, State Senator Sharon Hewitt. Don't think she needs much of an introduction in the state of Louisiana, because I feel like she is a rock star that everybody on this call probably already knows about, but we'll hear from her in just a minute. Additionally, I'm really happy to have my friend now and my STEM sister, Kim Fossey, who is leading the Capital Area STEM Network and is serving as our state leader, volunteer leader for Million Mentors in Louisiana. And for those of you that I do not know, I am Sheila Boynton, and I serve as the National States Chair for Million Women Mentors. And my day job is I'm the CEO of Learning Blade, which is owned by Thinking Media. I'm also an engineer as well, so this is passion very close to my heart. Thrilled to be here. So if you guys don't mind, if you guys can enter your who you are and your organization into our chat box. And if you have any questions or would like to ask a question, please feel free to enter it into the chat box. Okay, good morning, everybody. I see people logging in and telling us who they're with. So wonderful to have you guys. Really appreciate it. Looks like we have a wonderful group here this morning and a great representation of the state of Louisiana. So our agenda today is really first just setting out, talking about the importance of STEM and then the importance of women in STEM for the state of Louisiana. And we're going to turn to the senator to hear thoughts on that. Then I'm going to give you an introduction to Million Mentors from sort of the 30,000 foot level, talk a little bit about how the movement came about, etc. And then Kim is going to share a little bit about the vision for MWM for Louisiana and a little bit about what we're thinking in terms of a steering committee for the state, as well as opportunities for engagement. Lastly, we will share some of those next steps that we feel we can take after this. I know many of you are joining to kind of hear what the movement is about and the network. And so we're really excited to be able to share that with you. But first, before we do that, I am just so honored to get to work with this wonderful state senator. I have the honor of working with many political leaders across the country, and few have ever exuded the passion about women, about STEM, and the importance of Louisiana's workforce than Senator Hewitt. I had a chance to be with her personally, even though we are today virtual, a couple of years ago at one of your state STEM meetings. And she just leads tremendously with her heart, but with a mind that's a steel trap and really seeing how things can be put together. So I know she's going to tell you, but she's the reason that your Louisiana STEM Council exists. And I think it's the reason that it's going forward in such a powerful way. So it's my thrill to introduce to you Senator Sharon Hewitt.
Well, thanks, Sheila, for all the kind words. I really do appreciate that. You know, many of you know my background. I'm a mechanical engineer from LSU and was really the only female in my mechanical engineering class. And then I went to work for a major oil and gas company where there really were very few females in that industry, and achieved a pretty significant role in that company in executive leadership. But through all of that, you know, it became very clear to me that there was more opportunities for women in that industry. And so what a thrill it was for me as I was elected into the state legislature in Louisiana to see an opportunity to make a bigger impact and a bigger difference in our state. You know, when I first got elected, we were faced with a $2 billion shortfall in Louisiana. And as I began to reflect on that, you know, the economy was struggling and we were hiring lots of talented people from other states to come in and do Louisiana jobs. And it made me crazy, to be honest. And so that was kind of the genesis behind the Louisiana STEM Advisory Council, which we created through legislation that I sponsored. And the idea behind that really was to start by looking at the needs of our workforce. We have such tremendous opportunities, you know, we have so many STEM type companies and industries in our state. We're rich with opportunities. And what we needed were more students who were trained with STEM skills to be able to take those jobs so that they weren't going to other states to fill those needs. And of course, I was very aware of the fact that we didn't have enough women in those careers. And as we were talking about ways to close the gender pay gap, you know, we know from data that the issue is not so much that women are getting paid 70 cents on the dollar compared to men doing the exact same job. The fact is, actually, women are just choosing to go into careers that are not among the higher paying careers. Those careers, those, you know, engineering and computer science type careers generally are dominated by men. And so there's lots of data that shows this, and I know that Kim and Sheila are going to talk about a little bit of this. But we have very talented girls and boys are equally talented in the areas of math and science. What happens to girls somewhere around the 8th grade is they lose interest in STEM. And I believe a big part of that is because they can't see themselves in those technical fields. They don't see mentors and other women succeeding in those areas. And so the idea behind, you know, Million Women Mentors resonates with me significantly. And we actually wrote into the legislation, not only for the STEM Advisory Council to focus on getting more women into STEM, but we also did talk about mentoring as being an important component of that. And so, you know, I'm working with many of you on that advisory council. We are building a STEM ecosystem in the state of Louisiana. But getting more women into STEM is not going to happen on its own. You have to be considerate and deliberate in how you approach that. And I think that this program has achieved tremendous success in other states. It's something that I've been very interested in since Sheila and I first met a couple of years ago. And so I hope as you hear the presentation today that you'll share in my passion for this and work with me on a steering committee in Louisiana to figure out how we want to do it in our state. So thank you all for joining the call today. Sheila and Kim, thank you for your work in bringing this opportunity to us. And I look forward to continuing to work with both of you in the months to come.
Thank you so much, Senator, for those amazing and inspiring words. And of course, it is just, it's really rewarding when we get to actually have leaders in Million Women Mentors in the different states that actually are STEM women themselves, because it's more authentic. And I love your background that we talked about, you know, you being an engineer yourself and recognizing the value for that as well. So as the senator said, you know, this is a movement and we are grounded in some of the data that is out there. And so I'm going to spend a few minutes just talking a little bit about sort of the motivation of what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing. And hopefully this just sort of level sets for everybody kind of what this network / movement is about. So today, obviously, people know, you know, women are 50% of the workforce, yet we're only 24% of the STEM workforce, and 50% of women that go into STEM drop out in the first 10 years. You know, there's a whole conversation we can have on why that is. I think the senator talked about some of those, but, you know, regardless of what it is the case. And I think we all also know, and the data is showing us, that women were disproportionately impacted by the pandemic. So I think, these numbers are even probably were impacted by this as well. But the other thing that we also see from our partners at My College Option is the fact that interest in STEM for girls at graduation is also declining. So, there's a lot of work that needs to happen here. I think the senator, addressed this women frequently do choose jobs that don't pay as well because they're in a different field. And so, I think it's really important that we highlight that this is not just an equity issue, it's an economic issue as well. The other thing is when we look at colleges, and I know you have LSU, great college there that actually my in-laws went to school at. My husband was born in Baton Rouge, but I hate to tell people on this call, I'm a Gator. Can't change my stripes. Don't hate me. But anyway, so, but the thing is that 44% of boys say they're interested in pursuing a major in STEM when they're going to college, yet only 15% of girls say that. And 1 in 9 women say they plan to pursue careers in engineering or technology. So we really have some impact numbers that we need to work on. Talking about all that, and I think you guys are engaged definitely in many efforts that are going to promote getting more girls and kids just to follow STEM. But one of the things that was noted some time ago was that, mentoring, like what was the impact that mentoring was having? And I believe on the call today is Abby Myers, who leads the research team for the Million Mentors and STEM Connector organization. And actually, she is going to be producing, or they're going to be producing a paper later on this year that's going to talk really deep dive around what mentoring impacts can be had. But till then, we have some great data from some studies from like Wharton and other places that show that girls with a mentor are 2.5 times more likely to be confident in their schoolwork. I mean, employees that volunteer are also 2 times more likely to be engaged in work, and companies that have engaged employees obviously outperform those that don't. So this isn't just about mentoring for mentees. This is also mentoring for mentors, because individuals who do choose to mentor, it's proven that they're 6 times more likely to get promoted. So I think part of it, to talk today, and I see many employers on the call, is to say this isn't only about, how do we impact the future workforce or the current workforce, the actual mentees, but how do we actually engage employers to see this as an important lever for growing the workforce that you need today. We're thrilled because the governor of Iowa, Kim Reynolds, has served as our national honorary chair, and the lieutenant governor of Delaware is now our honorary chair for lieutenant governors. Both of them really have been very involved in Million Mentors, not only in their state, but nationally. And they really recognize that, as the senator talked about, that this can be part of your statewide strategy around getting more girls into STEM classes and careers. So backing that all up and saying, this is a relatively new, evolved mission statement, I would call it, because Million Mentors has really become the premier network dedicated to encouraging girls and women around the world to pursue, persist, and succeed in STEM careers. We have efforts in a lot of countries in addition to the US, so that is why we have changed to being women around the world. But individuals, companies, and girl-serving organizations can consider participating in Million Mentors through membership and other opportunities. And we're going to talk definitely about some of that today. When we talk about mentoring, a lot of people will only envision mentoring as a one-on-one conversation, which is definitely some of what you think is the best mentoring for sure, face-to-face. But given obviously what we're doing today, even with our Zoom call, online mentoring now is another way to actually reach some of the girls. I've had a mentee for 9 years, very thrilled that she just graduated from college and got a job. And she and I did our mentoring over our cell phone, texting. Of course, my own daughters tell me, Mom, you text too slow, but I can get it done. It's the point is that, there are many different ways to connect with your mentee. The other thing is we want to encourage companies to think about your paid internships and apprenticeships and having those go towards women. Intentional thinking. I think the senator mentioned this as well. This is what it takes in order to move the needle on this. And workplace mentoring at your company, making sure when those women come into roles at your company, you're pairing them with a senior leader. And it doesn't always have to be, even though we're called Million Women Mentors, we want our mentors to be women and men because we need all hands on deck if we're going to change this for our country. The last thing is also sponsorship. And so I always think of sponsorship as being, what someone who advocates for your career, even when you're not in the room. So that is really another piece that we encourage companies to think clearly about how they might have sponsors for different women that are in STEM careers. So some of our larger sort of core components of Million Mentors to talk about is certainly the states movement, which is what you'll hear a lot about today. Beyond that, we have corporate engagement. This movement and network would not be possible without the generous sponsorship of many, many organizations that I'll share with you in a minute. But the idea that we need corporations engaged, either in a membership capacity or just active with mentoring efforts in their own company and sharing that with us as well. As I mentioned, we have some global initiatives, including work in Turkey and India and Pakistan and many other countries where we're also trying to help some of those countries move the needle on women for that. And then community engagement. I saw some community organizations that are on today, and certainly they dovetail into all of these, particularly the states and the corporate movement, because you are the ones that maybe have access to the girls and the women that need mentoring. And so we want you as well engaged. So our Million Women States Network really is comprised of sort of three big pictures. So the honorary chair, that is a political or some kind of leader. Now, we're not trying to politicize the movement or the network, but we're really trying to use that platform as an opportunity to share this. And the senator has agreed to serve as your honorary chair, which we're thrilled about having her aboard as that. And she will work with other honorary chairs across the country to make sure that this becomes amplified as an important initiative for the state. Secondly, our state leader, Kim, has agreed to serve in that capacity. There's always room for more. So if people are interested in becoming and partnering with her on that, I know she would really appreciate it. But beyond that, we need a steering committee, and a little bit of today is focused on, what does that mean? And we'll talk about that as well. If you want to participate in Million Mentors, these are the things we kind of say, this should be at your core. You want to make an impact for women and girls in STEM. You also, as companies that get involved with us, you want to be seen as a leader for encouraging girls and women in the STEM careers and to gain some recognition for your company or your industry. And as well, we have opportunities if those that are actually want to become a member can actually get recognition for their corporate leader on a national basis. Currently, we have about 40 states that are engaged with us in Million Women Mentors, which means they have some of the components that I showed you earlier in terms of a state leader, steering committee, and an honorary chair. Now, not everyone has all three of those, but a lot of them do. And so we work with them in a unique way. Sample of some of our honorary chairs is here. Again, as I mentioned, just thrilled to have the senator serving in your state, but you can see the level and the type of people that we have involved. And some of our honorary chairs are not all women. But we do have many that actually have STEM background. Just for example, Dr. Bethany Hall Long of Delaware is a PhD in nursing. We have another engineer woman, Susan Elsperman in Indiana. So, again, just thrilled when we get some of these technical women involved in the movement as well. Our network is pretty broad and wide, so we have a lot of different organizations that are involved with us. Some of our key sponsors, again, here include PepsiCo and Sprint and my own company, Learning Blade, as well as many other organizations you will see that are sort of some notable brands in the country that hire STEM talent. So we'll talk now a little bit more locally, again, about Louisiana and the work that can happen here. So we always like to say, who's involved? People ask us all the time. Of course, companies, organizations that really are looking to lean in, to use that word, on the conversation around getting more women into STEM through some of these mentoring kind of activities we have talked about. We also need our post-secondary or K-12 educational org to be involved with us as well. You have access to a lot of the people that are involved. And I love to think of the universities and the community colleges and technical colleges being a part of this, because I consider them to be sort of the sweet spot where they can be mentors for those kids that are coming through the educational system, and they can be mentored by those that are in companies. So they're kind of my sweet spot, I always call it, about that. And also had a chance to work with many of them under my former company, which was the creators of the Work Keys curriculum, Keytrain. So had worked with most of your 50, I think you had 50 technical colleges, which were amazing. Then we have our nonprofit organizations too, Boys and Girls Club, Science Olympiad, all of these kind of groups that do have a lot of work going around STEM. And so we want to make sure we connect them to this work to make sure they are connected and are able to take advantage of some of the things that we will offer. And then our state and regional organizers, really more state, are involved in really coordinating and kind of aggregating this information. You know, we have, this was 2019, 2020 might be wiped off the map, I think, in terms of a lot of things. So in 2019, we held our our Million Mentors National Summit. Kim got to be there as well. And we were thrilled to have some of the lieutenant governors and other leaders that always come and share with us on kind of our lunchtime session. We are planning to have an in-person summit this year, October 6th and 7th. So we'll keep you posted on that as that takes shape. We're still in the throes of, is it in person, is it virtual? But I believe we're going with in person, but we'll wait and see. I think we just did a poll for people. The other thing is we want you guys to think about Million Mentors as your partner and your friend. So anything you're doing related to Million Women Mentors, related to getting more girls and women in STEM, we would love to have our branding on that. Again, you know, I think it's a two-way street, right? We will take what you guys are doing and blast that out through our massive network and, you know, get it publicity and all this type of thing. But at the same token, we want to be able to have others in your organization understand Million Women Mentors. So it's not that you have to have a Million Mentors name to everything, but we actually will encourage you to use the brand. We're actually putting together some information on that Kim will have access to momentarily on just using the logo and being able to connect kind of to the work that we're doing. Also, I'd love to share just a little bit, a few best practices across some of the states to give you some ideas. Again, you know, we don't like to stifle creativity because I'm sure many people on the call will have their own ideas about this. But many states have come up with different things that they do, from, you know, a monthly newsletter that they do, webinar series that they host, you know, corporate strategies that they work with corporations to actually come up with what the STEM strategy is. One of my favorites was in Pennsylvania, where they do a statewide virtual day every year that they just pick a day, like in February, I believe it is, and everybody in the state is encouraged to do something around girls in STEM. And so it doesn't have to be, you know, thousands of people. It can be going to a classroom, doing different things like that, but it's the one day that everybody focuses on it as well. And of course, connecting to other things that are going on, like Engineers Week or Computer Science Week in December. Lots of ways to actually connect Million Women Mentors in Louisiana to different things that are going on in states. Every year, including last year, we did produce the State of the States report. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to get to see what is going on in some of the other states. So currently we've listed your state STEM, your La STEM Council on this, as well as kind of we adopted you all you know, just believe in that work. It's so strong. And so hopefully that will be somewhat of a coalescence of what your steering committee looks like. This is available on our website. If you go to millionmentors.com and click on states, you will be able to download a copy of this. And it has one page for every state that we're working in. It's a nice reference to give you ideas of other things that other states have done. And we produce this once a year. Every year it comes out at the beginning of the year. So I am thrilled to get to turn it over to, as I said, my friend and my STEM sister, Kim Fossey. She has been a joy to work with on this effort prior to her even taking the role with the Capital area STEM group, but we definitely appreciate all her support, and I'm going to turn it over to her.
Okay, well, thank you, Sheila and Senator Hewitt. We're just in great company, as all of you know. I'm excited to sort of wrap the the webinar up by acknowledging some of the fabulous initiatives that are going on in our state that are really putting girls and other represented in STEM in just a better position to thrive both economically and professionally. So we've got lots of things going on to just make sure that the message is there. Without STEM skills, without women and girls thinking and exploring these opportunities, we'll be further left behind, both in the the job market as well as the wage market that Senator Hewitt mentioned. So I'll begin with just mentioning the Legislative Act 392 that was historic now, that was sponsored by Senator Hewitt and many of her great colleagues, which really set into motion this Louisiana STEM ecosystem that both of them have mentioned. The importance of an ecosystem is that we're all responsible for education, not just one sector or another. We're all in it together, and it's also now spread geographically across our state. No longer are we looking at isolated pockets of STEM. So basically, this is a major education initiative that launched an advisory council, which brings together all kinds of stakeholders at the table, which were absolutely needed. Oh, so we are talking about higher education, we're talking about economic development, we're talking about businesses, and all kinds of organizations that are really bringing so much talent, so many resources to the table. Another piece of this council that has brought to the center is the establishment of 9 resource centers. And we're happy to say that LSU is housing one of these resource centers, and it's called Capital Area STEM. But I'm happy to say that our network in Louisiana for Girls is alive and well. As if you could see on the chat today, we have many of these regions so committed to this work that they've joined us here today. So in addition, there's an annual STEM summit that's sponsored. That was a result of this work, and it's hosted every year, and we get to see lots of best practices. Other things that I would like to mention that I think are really providing girls the opportunity to be empowered by STEM, because we know this is one of the great impacts of a good STEM education is empowerment to take action, to have a voice, or the STEM pathways that have been established throughout the state. This is an amazing example of partnerships between both education units, K-12 units, as well as 4-year and 2-year colleges and universities. These STEM pathways allow the opportunity for girls and all underrepresented in STEM that have not been exposed to fabulous careers in things like biomedicine, computing, cybersecurity, digital design, engineering, pre-pharmacy. These were brought together by great partners throughout the state who are committed to providing exposure to our young people as well as adults. And we're talking about the Cyber Innovation Center in North Louisiana. We're talking about Project Lead the Way, LSU, IBM, and Xavier University. So totally committed to empowering both girls and underrepresented in STEM to get a taste of what it would be like in one of these career paths. Another opportunity that I'm absolutely thrilled, because this is the end in mind. Dual credit programs, such as one that has just begun, Fast Forward, that has a huge goal of by 2025 having an opportunity, making sure that all of our students in the state have an opportunity to have at least 4 college credit courses under their belt before they even exit high school. Again, this is an example of an empowering, very empowering opportunity for girls to know that they can succeed in college before they exit high school. Another opportunity, particularly in the industries, industry work is Jumpstart. And again, both of these programs are, again, providing great exposure, not only to coursework and universities, but the business world through job shadowing opportunities, many work experiences before they finish high school, which could result in either credentials through the Jumpstart or even an associate degree before they finish high school. This is possible, it is happening, and it's extremely empowering. Other innovative things that the state is really providing is participation in this national pilot for a great STEM curriculum, science curriculum that integrates STEM, which is the Open Sci education work. Like I said, I think we're one of 7 states piloting that program, as well as Learning Blade, which is an absolutely fantastic opportunity for our middle school or high school students to get a taste of STEM in a very relevant and appropriate way. And that pilot will be starting this fall throughout our state. And it's available for students that are in schools as well as in after school programs. So these models are going to be, are really going to impact the numbers of kids that are experiencing these kinds of opportunities. On another note, on the informal education side, we've got lots of organizations and amazing partnerships that have been formed specifically to increase engagement with girls and women. I'll mention just a few of them that I've got listed here, but one of them, or all of these actually, were alive and well during COVID. So we're talking extremely committed and dedicated partners out there that did not let a major catastrophe, affect their or get in the way of their serving girls and women. The first one is Energize Your Destiny, an amazing example of a partnership between Louisiana Career and Technical Colleges, which they are heavily into many of these kinds of things, and Shell. Girls were given the opportunity to visit with faculty as well as industry partners during this amazing event that I attended myself. I just blew me away. An example of, or 2 examples of universities that are doing girls in STEM activities would be my amazing partners at Tulane, who have worked with girls for years and years and are just thriving during COVID. Go Science explorations from the LSU College of Science have never stopped in providing many different multiple ways for girls to get involved in STEM, as well as this SWE. I would like to mention SWE next, which is Society of Women in Engineering. This is very active throughout our state, and I would just like to give a huge shout out to a high school chapter that was formed for SWE at Ben Franklin High School in the New Orleans area. I cannot tell you the things that they continue to do during COVID. They even hosted a national panel on the environment. So they just blow me away. And then finally, just another organization, which I've seen extreme interest grow in STEM and girls, has been our Louisiana After School Network. That is completely dedicated toward pushing STEM right now in after school and uniting their whole ecosystem across the state to do STEM in 21st century community learning centers and in a variety of ways. So shout out to all of these partners that are just doing a great job in terms of exposing girls to STEM. So let's go to the next slide. So what are we talking about here? So what's the function of the steering committee that Sheila has mentioned? You know, it's pretty simple. We need to stay united. We need to support the national movement within our state and continue to do so many things that I see happening out there. You know, we work to connect you know, all of the individuals and companies and nonprofits and higher education groups that are doing this work. And it really does help. Networks are so important. I had a call just 2 days ago from Valero. Hey, we're celebrating International Women in Engineering Week next week. So they knew exactly, they went straight to our network partners and basically knew who to contact to host an opportunity next week at a girls' camp. We volunteer with other leaders of STEM, like we've just mentioned, you know, whether it's education, business, industry. We need to work together to set goals. So what does this look like in our state? And I think Senator Hewitt mentioned this. I look forward to, you know, gathering in the next month or so to set some real goals here for our state. We work with the national group to constantly reiterate the message of the power of STEM mentoring throughout the state and insert it in those activities that are already happening. You know, we enjoy doing this all day, every day, right now. So you know, by joining our group, you know, again, it helps you, it gives you that opportunity, that exposure to participate in various sectors. Again, it's important that we intermix, not isolate, and, you know, connect at corporate level, nonprofit education. This is a good opportunity for you to network. I think that many of the women and men that are on this call today know we network all the time, but this gives us a platform, a healthy way to, you know, to recognize the value of this and to, you know, spread it in your organization and help others motivate and support, you know, lend support for STEM mentoring. You can work with other steering committee members and, you know, really continue to amplify everyone else's efforts. I think key here is we help each other succeed. We don't stay in a corner and hide. We really work every day to help each other succeed. And, you know, these state call meetings that we have at least quarterly, because we've started those, just helps us stay in touch with each other, find out what's going, and ask for help if we need help in these particular activities that we're doing. So to sort of reiterate, you know, what are we looking for? We're looking for members that can join us and help us build a strategic plan. We're looking for companies and organizations that are willing to join and to either, you know, just simply stay in touch or help you facilitate your work in STEM at a deeper level. And we're looking for girl serving organizations. Many of them that have joined us early have realized that this is very important for us to help each other promote what's going on, as well as help, you know, new organizations that are just thinking about establishing opportunities in your organization. We can help you do that as well. So finally, you know, we have here's our little hot list of our call to action here. Your next step would be to think about joining, you know, our steering committee. Encouraging, you know, your company or your organization to take an active role. And again, this can be through our steering committee, through, you know, just different organizations joining us. And, you know, like we mentioned a minute ago, girl serving organizations. You know, so, you know, just think about joining. Think about getting your companies and organizations, to take an active role. Suggest that your company make an investment in this work, whether, donating or hosting an event, just like Valero called, pick up that phone and, know who's here and how we can help. Connect with our LinkedIn page. We have a LinkedIn page that we can help spread not only things that are going on in our state, but help spread things that are going on in other states that Sheila has mentioned today. Plan to participate in not only the Louisiana group, but the national group and their events. And, just continue to reach out to your own network to share the opportunity and to encourage, participation, which already I see this happening. As we mentioned, we've got a LinkedIn group. If you do a search while you're on LinkedIn, and several of you have already joined, please take that opportunity to do that. And it will help boost, your efforts. And so we're just continuing to take, looking forward to see who will commit and how you will commit, and please post to the group.
Great. Thank you so much, Kim, and thank you for your leadership. It already sounds like you guys have a great foundation for building the Million Mentors team. Just so you know too, so one of the things that Kim does as the state chair is we have a once a month sort of call for all state chairs across the country. It's a Zoom now. We converted to Zoom during the pandemic, which I think is great. And so, that's an opportunity for her to hear from other states, and then for her to also share. We also have a newsletter that is produced quarterly, and we're always looking for great stories about the work that's going on in Louisiana that we can take and then share out through our entire network. We also have STEM Daily, which is and I'll make sure this is in the follow-up email. It is a national newsletter that comes out every day around STEM in the US. And it does feature a feature on Million Mentors every day. So if there's something timely that you wanted to share, or an event or something of that nature, we certainly would love you to send that to us. You can send it to us and I'll give you an email at the end where you can send it to, and just make sure so that we, as Kim said, stay connected, use this network to broadly impact and get people to think. I always say every day, we will never really understand all the ramifications of Million Women Mentors because it has caused so many collisions and partnerships and other things that have happened all across the country because they met. So before we finally wrap up, I cannot pass up an opportunity to share my own day job work with you guys. So we're really thrilled that we are getting to work with the state of Louisiana with Learning Blade. As Kim mentioned, it is a STEM and computer science and CTE career awareness platform designed for 5th through 9th graders. And we are going to have this fully available in the fall, and you are allowed to pre-register for an account either as a school, a nonprofit, an after school, any of the entities that have students in that grade level. And we'll be certainly sharing more information about this, but it is aligned to all the Louisiana academic standards. And it is all about relevance and making sure kids can see the different types of STEM careers that are out there, even at an earlier age. So right as we wrap up, obviously, I want to thank the senator and certainly Kim for her amazing leadership. And there's our contact information for both of us. So please feel free to reach out to either one of us. And as we wrap up, I would really love to turn it back over to the senator so she can give us kind of our closing and our call to action, Senator.
Well, thank you, Sheila. This was a great presentation. I'm really excited by the comments in the chat box and the number of participants that we had on the call today. But, we're preaching to the choir right here. Y'all are all people that get it. You understand the importance of STEM. You know how women can contribute to the ecosystem. And so, the challenge for us is, and I believe that there are industries out there and companies out there that they all want to hire qualified women. And we know that there are lots of qualified women in the area of STEM. So the challenge for us is to help connect the dots and to make sure that we're continuing to encourage other girls and other women to go into STEM because they're just as smart as their male counterparts. And so I look forward to continuing to be very involved in this area. You know, although I'm the honorary chair, if you, anybody that knows me knows that I'm a pretty hands-on type leader. And so, you know, my commitment to you is that I'm going to continue to stay involved in this and work with Kim and Sheila, not just in name only, but to contribute, you know, my ideas, perhaps some state funding, you know, things where I can, through my current position, perhaps add some value. And so what I need from you all is your good ideas and your networks and to work with us to not only take some best practices from other states, but let's look at some ways where we can put our own Louisiana footprint on how we tackle this and measure it. I'm all about the numbers, and so I want us to be able to measure and to know that we're really moving the needle. And so it's very important to me, and I hope that you'll join me and Kim and Sheila in moving Louisiana forward for women and girls in STEM. So thank you, Kim and Sheila, for doing this, and I look forward to continuing to stay very involved.
Have a wonderful day, everybody. And thanks again, Senator Kim and everybody that was on this call. I think most people have got off, but thank you so much, Senator. You're amazing. Kim, fabulous job. It's my honor and pleasure to work with you both.
Oh, gosh, thank you, Senator Hewitt. It's just a fabulous message this morning. There's lots of people that want to do things. You know, I just think that we don't get that cheerleader speech much, you know, it's a lot of work. You know, I was talking to some of the STEM directors yesterday, and I think I've been involved in this work a long time, so I know how hard it is. And I could see they're tired, and I go, you got to keep going, you know, but it's a lot. So to be able to congratulate and thank and recognize people that are in this space is so good because you do need encouragement, you know, you really do.
Yeah, but we got enough negativity going on these days. It's nice to be involved in something that I don't think there are too many people that can disagree with this message, right?
Right,
So.
right. Right.
No, they can't, and they're just looking for some guidance as to what to do. They want to do it. They don't know what to do.
Right.
And so that's for us to figure out some very specific things that we can ask people to do. And I think, you know, we need to make, and probably a lot of this burden falls on me, we need to get more corporate leaders involved in this.
Yes.
It's easy to get the people that are already in the STEM ecosystem involved because they get it. But, you know, I've got thoughts about, you know, the CEO of AT&T, of course, Sonia Perez is a great leader. And there are many others like her that where we have female leaders at the top of these organizations. That can not only bring their ideas and their commitments to move the needle in their companies, but funding also, you know, and jobs and internships. They're the decision makers. And so I want us to think about, you know,